She laughed and said, "You're too sensitive, not a real man." Her friends burst out laughing too. I just smiled and said, "Maybe. But a real man doesn't stay where he's mocked." That night, when her best friend texted me, I froze. I'm Lucas, 29, and I'd been dating Jenna for 3 years. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue, hit it off immediately, and moved in together after about 18 months. On paper, we were solid. Good jobs, nice apartment, talked about marriage eventually. But there was this pattern I'd been ignoring for way too long. Jenna had this thing where she'd mock me in front of her friends. Not playfully. There's a difference between couples teasing each other and one person using the other as a punching bag for laughs. She'd make jokes about my hobbies, my clothes, things I said, even the way I showed affection. And her friends would laugh every single time like it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. The incident that broke me happened 3 weeks ago at her friend Melissa's birthday dinner. There were 8 of us at this trendy Italian place downtown. I'd had a stressful week. A project at work had gone sideways, and I'd been putting in 12-hour days trying to fix it. I was tired and probably should have stayed home, but Jenna insisted I come. Halfway through dinner, the conversation turned to Valentine's Day plans. Melissa's boyfriend had apparently rented a cabin in the mountains. Another couple was doing a weekend in New York. Jenna's friend Nicole asked what we were doing. "Lucas made reservations at that French place I like," Jenna said, "and he wrote me a letter. Like an actual handwritten letter telling me why he loves me." I thought she was saying it sweetly. I was wrong. "A letter?" Nicole laughed. "What is this? 1950? Right?" Jenna grinned. "It was so extra. Like, Lucas, just get me flowers and call it a day." The table laughed. I felt my face heat up. "I thought you liked romantic gestures," I said quietly. "I like normal romantic gestures," Jenna said. "Not diary entry-level stuff. It's a bit much." "A bit much?" I repeated. "You're too sensitive, not a real man," she said, still smiling like this was all in good fun. Her friends burst out laughing. "I'm kidding, babe. Don't look so serious." I wasn't kidding when I replied. I kept my voice level, calm even. "Maybe. But a real man doesn't stay where he's mocked." The table went quiet. Jenna's smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done being your entertainment," I said. I stood up, pulled out my wallet, and dropped enough cash to cover my portion of the bill plus tip. "Enjoy your dinner." I walked out. Jenna didn't follow me immediately, which told me everything I needed to know. When she finally came outside 10 minutes later, I was already in an Uber. She called me 6 times on the drive home. I didn't answer. When I got back to our apartment, I started packing. Not everything, just enough for a week or 2. Clothes, laptop, essentials. I texted my buddy Derek and asked if I could crash at his place for a bit. He said yes, without asking questions. Jenna came home around 11. She found me in the bedroom with a duffel bag on the bed. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Leaving." "Lucas, come on, I was joking." "No, you weren't. You were getting laughs at my expense. Again. You're being dramatic." "See, that's the problem," I said, folding a shirt. "Every time I tell you something hurts, you tell me I'm being dramatic or too sensitive. You don't get to decide what hurts me." "So what, you're just leaving?" "Over a joke?" "Not over a joke. Over 3 years of jokes. Over being made to feel like caring about you is something to be embarrassed about." She started crying. Real tears, not manipulation tears. I could tell the difference. "Lucas, please, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it bothered you that much. I've told you before, multiple times. You just didn't care enough to stop." "I'll stop, I promise. You'll stop until the next time you want to laugh from your friends." "I'm not doing this anymore, Jenna." I zipped up the bag and walked past her. She grabbed my arm. "Please don't go. We can work through this." "I don't want to work through this. I want to be with someone who doesn't think I'm a punchline." I left. She didn't try to stop me again. That night around 2 a.m., I got a text from an unknown number. When I opened it, I recognized the area code, same as Jenna's friends. "Hey Lucas, it's Sarah, Jenna's friend from dinner. Can we talk?" Sarah was Jenna's best friend since college. They were inseparable. Why the hell was she texting me? "About what?" I replied. "About Jenna. And some things you should probably know." I called her. She answered immediately. "Thanks for calling," Sarah said. She sounded nervous. "Look, I feel terrible about tonight. The way she talked to you wasn't okay." "Okay," I said slowly. "So why are you telling me this?" "Because someone needs to. Jenna does this thing where she complains about her partners to make herself look better. You're not the first boyfriend she's done this to. I know she's dated other people, Sarah. That's not news. No, I mean she specifically dates sensitive guys. Her words, not mine, because they make good targets. She thinks emotional availability is weakness, and I don't know, she gets off on proving it to people." I sat down on Derek's couch. "What?" "After you left tonight, she was laughing about it, saying you proved her point by storming out, that you couldn't take a joke. Some of us pushed back and told her she crossed a line, and she just shrugged it off. That's when I realized I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Why are you telling me this now? You've been friends with her for years. Because I've watched her do this to 3 different guys now, and I'm tired of being complicit. You seem like a genuinely good person, Lucas. You don't deserve to be treated like that. Did she ever actually love me? Or was this all just some game?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "I think she loved the idea of you. But I don't think she's capable of loving someone without needing to feel superior to them." We talked for another 20 minutes. Sarah told me about Jenna's previous relationships, the pattern of behavior, the way she'd trash-talk her boyfriends to make herself feel powerful. Everything clicked into place. The constant mockery, the dismissal of my feelings, the way she'd apologize just enough to keep me around, but never enough to actually change. "Thank you for telling me," I said finally. "I mean it. I'm sorry it took me this long. And Lucas? Don't go back to her. She's already texting the group chat saying you'll come crawling back in a few days. Yeah, that's not happening." Update 1. I stayed at Derek's for 4 days. Jenna texted constantly at first. Apologies, promises to change, accusations that I was abandoning her. Then her friends started texting, most of them to defend her, but a few to apologize for their part in it. Nicole, who'd laughed the loudest at dinner, sent me a long message about how she'd talked to Sarah and realized they'd all been enabling Jenna's behavior. She felt terrible. I appreciated the apology, but didn't respond. On day 5, I went back to the apartment while Jenna was at work. I packed everything I owned, loaded it into a U-Haul I'd rented, and left my key on the kitchen counter. The lease was in her name anyway. I'd offered to be added when we moved in, but she'd said it was easier to keep it just her. At the time, I thought she was being practical. Now I realized she'd been keeping an easy exit strategy. I left a note too. Short and simple. "Jenna, I've moved out completely. I'll send you money for half of this month's utilities since I was here for part of it. Take care of yourself." I didn't say I hoped we could be friends. I didn't say maybe we'd reconnect someday. I just said what needed to be said and left. Derek helped me move my stuff into a storage unit while I looked for my own place. He didn't ask many questions, which I appreciated. Just helped me load boxes and bought me a beer afterward. "You did the right thing, man," he said. "Doesn't feel like it yet. It will." 1 week after I left, Jenna showed up at my office. Security called me down to the lobby, and there she was, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't. Lucas, please." I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I've been in therapy this week, and my therapist said, "I don't care what your therapist said. You spent 3 years making me feel like my emotions were inconvenient. 1 week of therapy doesn't erase that. I know I hurt you. I know I was wrong. but we can fix this. There's no we anymore, Jenna. There's you, and there's me, and we're going in different directions. Is this about Sarah? Did she say something to you? Sarah told me the truth. That you have a pattern of dating guys you can feel superior to. That you were laughing about me leaving after I walked out of that dinner. Her face went pale. She told you that? Yeah, and it explained everything. You don't love me, Jenna. You loved having someone around you could put down to make yourself feel better. That's not true. Then why did you tell your friends I'd come crawling back? Sarah told me about the group chat. She didn't have an answer for that. I need to get back to work, I said. Please don't come here again. I walked away. She called after me, but I didn't turn around. Update 2. 2 weeks after leaving, I found an apartment. Nothing fancy. A 1-bedroom in a building with decent light and no memories attached. I started furnishing it slowly, buying things that were mine and mine alone. Jenna kept trying to reach me. She sent flowers to my office with a card that said, "I'm sorry." I donated them to a nursing home nearby. She tried to add me on a new Instagram account after I'd blocked her main one. I blocked that too. Then she tried a different approach. She texted me saying she'd boxed up some of my stuff I'd forgotten. Books, a jacket, some kitchen items. Could she drop them off? I knew it was an excuse to see me, but I did actually want those books. I told her she could leave the box with the building manager at my new place. No need to come up. She agreed, but when I went to pick up the box the next day, the manager told me a woman had tried to get my apartment number. He'd refused to give it to her. Thanks, I said. If she comes back, please don't let her in the building. Already noted in the system, he said. We get this kind of thing sometimes. Don't worry. That's when I realized how far Jenna would go to maintain control. She wasn't sorry. She was desperate to win me back because I'd walked away on my own terms. 3 weeks in, I started seeing a therapist myself. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand why I'd tolerated being treated that way for so long. My therapist, Dr. Patel, was straightforward with me. You were in a relationship with someone who needed you to be small so she could feel big, she said. That's not love. That's exploitation. I kept thinking if I just showed her how much I cared, she'd care back. That's the trap. You can't earn love from someone who sees vulnerability as weakness. You can only exhaust yourself trying. I went to therapy once a week. It helped. I started recognizing patterns, not just in my relationship with Jenna, but in other areas of my life where I'd made myself smaller to make others comfortable. Meanwhile, Sarah checked in on me occasionally. She'd cut ties with Jenna after our conversation, which apparently caused drama in their friend group. Some people sided with Sarah, others with Jenna. She's telling people you gaslit her, Sarah told me over coffee one afternoon. That you made her feel like the bad guy for just joking around. Of course she is, I said. She can't accept that she's the problem. For what it's worth, the people who matter see through it. Nicole stopped hanging out with her too, and Melissa told Jenna straight up that she was out of line. Good for them. How are you doing? Really? Better, I said. Not great yet, but better. Update 3. A month after leaving, I was out with Derek and some co-workers at a bar when Jenna walked in with a guy I didn't recognize. She saw me immediately, our eyes locked across the room. She looked shocked, then angry, then put her hand on the guy's arm possessively. I turned back to my conversation without reacting. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction. 10 minutes later, she was at our table. Lucas, she said, can we talk? Outside? I'm good, thanks. Please. Just 5 minutes. Derek looked at me. I shook my head slightly. I didn't need rescuing. Jenna, I have nothing to say to you. Move on. You've moved on already? She glanced at one of my co-workers, a woman named Amy. That was fast. Amy's my co-worker. Not that it's your business either way. So you're just done? 3 years, and you're just done? You were done with respecting me a long time ago. I'm just catching up. Her face hardened. You're really going to hold one bad night against me forever? It wasn't one bad night. It was 3 years of bad nights. You just didn't notice because I kept forgiving you. I apologized multiple times. You apologized because you got caught, not because you were sorry. There's a difference. She stood there for another moment, clearly expecting me to cave. When I didn't, she walked away. The guy she'd come in with approached her near the bar. They had a brief, tense conversation, then both left. Derek raised his beer to me. Clean break, man. Respect. Felt good, I admitted. Who was that guy with her? No idea. Don't care either. Final update. It's been 3 months now since I left. I'm settled into my apartment, still going to therapy, and genuinely enjoying being single. I've been on a couple of casual dates, but nothing serious. I'm not in a rush. Jenna stopped trying to contact me about 6 weeks ago. Sarah told me she's dating someone new, the guy from the bar, apparently. Sarah also mentioned that Jenna's started the same pattern with him, making fun of him to her friends, mocking his interests, treating his emotions like inconveniences. Some people never learn, Sarah said. That's his lesson to learn now, not mine. I've learned a lot about myself in these 3 months. I learned that being emotional isn't weakness, it's honesty. I learned that the right person won't make you feel like you're too much. I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who make you feel small. My coworker Amy asked me out last week. I said yes. We're getting coffee this weekend, nothing serious. But she's kind, and when I mentioned I'd had a rough day, she asked about it and actually listened. It was such a simple thing, but it reminded me what I deserve. Derek asked me if I ever regret leaving the way I did, just walking out of that dinner without warning. No, I said. I'd given her enough warnings. Sometimes you have to show people you're serious because they won't believe your words. I don't wish Jenna ill. I genuinely hope she figures out whatever made her need to tear people down to feel good about herself. But that's not my job anymore. My job is to build myself back up and make sure I never accept that kind of treatment again. I'm done being too sensitive. I'm exactly sensitive enough, and the right person will appreciate that about me. Edit 1. A lot of people are asking about Sarah and why she stayed friends with Jenna for so long. I asked her the same thing. She said watching someone you love become someone you don't recognize is a slow process, and by the time she realized how bad it was, she felt trapped in the friendship. Cutting ties with Jenna meant potentially losing their whole friend group. She finally did it anyway because watching me get hurt was the breaking point. I respect that. Edit 2. No, I haven't spoken to Jenna since the bar encounter. Yes, she still has me blocked on everything anyway as a precaution. The coffee date with Amy went well. We're taking things slow, but there's potential there. Edit 3. For everyone saying I should have stood up to her earlier, I did. Multiple times. She'd apologize, promise to do better, then fall back into the same pattern. Sometimes the only way to stand up for yourself is to walk away completely.